Hello everyone, this is a lesson on advanced variations from C to G in the open position. In the description of this video, you will find a link to a PDF that has C to G variations, D to A variations, and E dominant 7 sharp 9 variations. There's also links to the different videos for each of these different variations. For a little small cost of the PDF, you're going to get 3 great lessons on how to create variations in the open positions with these chords. These different variations can be used in any original material that you have or any cover. They are not copyrightable material. So enjoy yourself, enjoy the variations, and I hope that you find all this material inspiring and fun. All right, have a great day. Okay, so I'm going to get into exercise 1, C to G. Remember, you got to practice these without the metronome at first and get them comfortable and then move on to using the metronome. When I'm using the metronome in the video, you can slow it down. So this first lick has a lot of open strings that creates this sort of magical non-stop sound. And what it is we have bass notes on beat 1, and then when we play the lick, or I play the lick here with G to A, pull off to G and D, I'm including this first finger C as much as possible. And then when I get done with the lick, there's this open sound of these 2 strings ringing together as I go down to the G. So you have, and there's this overlay of the 2 notes that happens as I'm switching that creates this nice fluid atmosphere, right? And then I play the same subdivisions on the bass notes of G, and then I'm playing this lick here. And that lick also has an open string at the end of it, so that when I go to C, there's this open string already ringing. So that's kind of the magic behind this, I think, little 2-measure phrase. The overlay of the notes creates a nice harmonic atmosphere for it to work. Remember, again, get this on your own without the metronome, and then you can apply the metronome. I'm about to play it with the metronome, and with every single one of these examples, you're probably going to have to slow it down and get it slower. I'm at 65 BPM with swinging 16th notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so exercise 2, C to G, has the same open chords at the end of the C, the open G and D, and then at the end of the G lick, we have an open G back to C. So that's the sort of fluid nature of this 2 phrase, and the only difference is the G. The G has a new subdivision, and the subdivision is, that's the new G subdivision. Boom. That's the only new thing in this lick, okay? Here we are with the metronome. I'm gonna play it a couple times for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, exercise 3, C to G, has the same sort of magical thing of the open string at the end of each lick, where you have a D overlaying to G, and when you leave the C lick, you have all those open strings, and then with the G, You have that open string of G going back to C. So the open string thing is still happening. In this variation, I am finding sometimes I want to do hammer-ons or pick the notes. Either way, I think it adds variation, and sometimes it feels good to do a hammer-on, sometimes it feels good to not. Maybe a good idea would be to master both. So that first lick with C, I'm pulling off on that 2 to 0 every single time, but the second 2 to 0 over C could be struck, or it could be a pull-off, or struck. Either way, or struck. Either way, pull off or struck. Now with the G, the lick, I'm feeling that first little 0 to 2 today as a hammer-on. It just sounds better to me today. Hammer on that second 0 to 2 in the G. And that last 2 to 0 could be struck or pull off. Today I'm feeling pull off. I like the fluid nature of hammer-ons and pull-offs today. When I played it, I probably struck it because of the heat of the moment. But going back and analyzing it, I'm feeling the hammer-ons and pull-offs a little more in there. But anyway, let's do this with the metronome. Well, first you're going to have to play it slowly without the metronome. Excuse me. Once you get it slow with the metronome, then you can add it to the metronome. So let's do it with the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so exercise 4, C to G, has a bit more strumming involved in it, more chordal melodies, I guess, so to speak. So we still have the open strings from the C to the G, an open G and D, and an open G coming back to the C. Same little fluidity trick that's being played in all of the other phrases. In this one, I'm using down-up strokes for all the chordal, so that C is a down-up. I have it written in. And I'm just catching that melody however I can. Down, up, or down, 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 down. Either way on beat 2. And then beat 3, I'm doing all of those with down-ups. And I'm even striking all of them except for the downbeat of 4, so that slide up doesn't get a strike. So I got down, down, up, down, 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 up, slide, down, up. Again at the end there on that one lick. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exercise 5, C to G, has a real column response relationship between the C lick and the G lick. So the C lick, it sounds boom da 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 da. Then you have boom da 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 da. Right, those two melodies really seem like they coexist together really nicely as a call and response. So the techniques behind this lick I have written in, just the pull-offs, one little pull-off there on the last 16th of the first, right there, that's the only pull-off I have for C. And for G, I have the pull-off at the very end of the lick as well. Now, this is another one of those instances where you can add hammer-ons and pull-offs. And then that last 2 to 0 over the C lick could be pull-off, or it could be struck. Here it is with pull-off, and here it is with struck. It just depends on what you're feeling at the moment. Today I'm having a tendency to lean into my hammer-ons and pull-offs, but if I maybe feeling a little more aggressive, I'll leave the pull-offs and hammer-ons out. And over the G, we have a hammer-on, could potentially be 0, 2, could be a hammer-on. And that last pull-off could be struck. So here it is, the lick over G with all hammer-ons and pull-offs, hammer-on, then pull-off. And here it is all struck. Oh, excuse me. Okay, either way, it sounds great. The main thing is that you're getting it in rhythm and that it is consistent. So, you could think of it analytically and eliminate, do it all pull-offs and hammer-ons, and then you could do all strikes, and then you could shake it up and do some hammer-ons, some pull-offs, some strikes, like that for practice. Or you could just ignore being that methodical and just sort of go for it and do it however you're feeling in the moment. It's up to you how methodical you want to be about these kind of techniques. I personally think it's a good idea to be methodical at least part of the time, and then let go of being methodical and just play. So here we are. I'm going to play it with the metronome, and I'm just going to play. Sometimes I'm going to use hammer-ons and pull-offs, sometimes I'm not. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exercise 6, C to G, has also got a nice call and response feel to it. And it wouldn't hurt for you to be able to sing these melodies as you're playing them. That's actually a really good idea. So with this little motive, we have the option of hammer-on and pull-offs again. We have also the open string thing happening at the end of the C chord, going open to the G, and then in the G, open to C, okay? So let's get it slow first. 3 E and a 4 E and a. Once you get it slow, it's nice and competent and relaxed. You can start adding the metronomes. You can slow it down if you need to. I'm going to be doing it at 65 BPM. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we're going to do a short lesson on being creative, and I want you as the student to understand that the concepts that I'm going to discuss in this very short lesson are things that may take you days or weeks to apply and learn. So, for example, I think the easiest thing to see is that if we're going to be able to be creative with a C chord, or we're going to be able to be creative with a G chord, we have to play those chords first. That's part of the lesson requirement. Can you play a C chord and can you play a G chord? The additional part of this lesson is can you play C and G and switch between the two really easily, because if you can't do that, then being able to do the creative aspect and keep it in time is probably not going to happen. So the first step to being creative, I think, with this is do not apply the metronome, do not apply the drum machine. Give yourself time to actually think and be loose and not have to worry about time, and just physically deal with one chord at a time. So C, right? And I kind of messed up that last phrase, but still I'm able to stop and think and use C, and then using G, same thing. And I'm using some of the same kind of content that I went over in the video, just one chord at a time with no metronome. The second step to being creative with C to G and moving with melodic content is to do the things that we did in the video, maybe some of the similar melodic content, but do it again without time. So you have time to stop and think. So for example, I could play C, and then I can go, okay, here's G. And in my mind, I'm sort of ahead of myself in the form. So when I'm thinking C, I know I'm going to play melodic content with my second finger. And then when I go to G, I'm thinking ahead, and I think I'm gonna try this slide up. I know that in advance. As I get to the G chord, I'm thinking ahead a little bit to that, right? And I'm not just in the exact moment trying to do it. That's why we don't use the drums in the beginning, because it gives us a little bit more freedom to stop and think. So if I need to, I can play a C chord and really consider the content that I'm going to play with it. Then G, I can stop and think, and I can work with the content loosely and individually with G. I could try several I could work with several different variations and not have to be constricted by the time, okay? Then the last thing that you're going to do, or the last step, maybe not the last thing you're going to do because you can try it at any time, but the final step, I think, or excuse me, almost the final step, is being able to do this with the drums. So you got the drums going, and you can... and you can play in time with the drums like that. Okay, now I think the final step is actually being able to do that, but without the drums. Right, so I can play in time and improvise without the assistance of the drums keeping me together while I'm trying to do it. So again, there's this process. I'm going to go over it and review it, and then we'll be done. So you're going to start out just individually with the one chord at a time without the drums. You can examine the melodic content for each chord loosely and slowly, as whatever pace you need to go. Then maybe you apply the drums with one chord at a time. Or you move on to two chords and you put the two chords together. And then maybe you try the drums with that. And then eventually you're going to get to where you can play with the drums or with the metronome, and you can keep time and it's consistent and you're confident. Then you turn the metronome off to see if you can do the same thing, keeping time without the assistance of the metronome yourself, and being consistent and being creative by yourself, keeping time within yourself, I think is the final step. All right, enjoy and have fun.